Hi, this is Sue for Parkies and Me, My Journey with Parkinson's. So I've titled this, Don't Wrap Me in Cotton Wool. Now, I am a 64-year-old woman with Parkinson's disease. I also have arthritis. I've had a total knee replacement done on my right knee. I've had operation on my shoulder. I've had finger joints replaced. And now I've had an operation on my back, quite a significant one. I've had a car accident in my time many years ago, which I had to recover from. So my body has had a lot to deal with. And it can be easy to be afraid to do things because of all these issues. But I've always tried to push myself a bit to try and keep going and get back on my feet, as it were. Now recently, I sold my lovely red e-bike. And I really enjoyed riding my bike. It was a sense of freedom. With the assistance of the power on my bike, I was able to go further for longer and not worry about getting home. And I just really enjoyed that time to myself to think and just enjoy being on my bike in the sunshine and the scenery. But with my back operation, I got to thinking about risk. And I know my husband hadn't been that happy with me going out on my e-bike by myself, and had said, when I wanted to try getting back on my e-bike after my operation, that he would be happier if he went with me. So I had some time to think when I was in hospital, and I decided for myself that I was going to sell my red e-bike. And that was a big decision, and it was a hard decision. But I needed to think of my present and my future, and choose what was the sensible thing for me to do in relation to my present and future. So while I loved riding my e-bike, my other thing that I desperately need to get back to is playing bowls. It's become really important to me. It's a huge goal because I have found friendship. I have found a place where I feel like I'm accepted and belong, and I just really enjoy being on the green and playing bowls. And I think partly it's because I come from that bowling family, and I think about my dad particularly, and I know that he would have been pleased that I was playing bowls and doing okay. When I was bowling, I was not bad at it. And the girls that I've made friends with have said that I'm a good bowler. And so in September I will be back on the green. So I accept that I have limitations, and I accept that I have to be sensible. But what's hard to accept is when people may not trust me to set my own limits. Now, I love my husband to death, and he is my best and biggest support. But we were talking about, we were watching a program on TV, and they were in the New Zealand bush, and I was saying to him, I love walking through bush. I can't wait to get back to it. And he looked at me and he said, I'm not so sure. And I said, what do you mean I'm not so sure? And he said, maybe we could go somewhere where the path was really flat and not uneven, but I don't think, we should be going through the bush normally. And I turned to him and I said, I'm safe with my mobilising. My Parkinson's does not affect me with mobility at the moment. I'm sure I can step over a few tree roots. I'm sure I can, walk over some uneven ground at the moment. And, his take was that I should only be walking on basically what I consider sanitised tracks. And that made me sad. And I said to him, I'm sure I'd be okay. And I know he's trying to protect me, but it made me feel sad, made me feel old, made me feel disabled, and none of those things feel good. So I understand when those people that love us want to limit us so that we are safe. But life cannot be completely without risk, or else it's not really a life worth living. We have a house with a beautiful garden that we have put in ourselves, and it's a raised garden. And so, you might have to get a step ladder to get up to pruning some of the roses and things like that. And, I've been strongly advised by my husband not to get up on the bank or on the garden, on the raised garden, because he's scared that I'll fall. And I get that he's trying to protect me, and I agree with him that I shouldn't be getting up there. But it just makes me feel old, that I have to start limiting myself, that I can't do these things that when we moved into the house I did with ease. But it seems like over the last 2 or 3 years I have aged, maybe not in my eyes, but in the eyes of my husband, and he's no longer comfortable with me getting up there. and I know he fears me falling, and I fear me falling. But I don't want to be told not to do anything that has any risk at all. I know that I am, I think, very self-aware of things that are a risk. For myself, I have looked at the garden and the trip hazards in that garden, that raised garden, and I decided for myself that I wasn't that comfortable getting up on the garden in some areas. But I think there are some areas I could get up in, because there are some steps with a handrail, and there are not many trip hazards, or if any, in, for example, my vegetable patch. So I feel that I self-assess pretty well. But I think, I was going to say unfortunately, and it's not really unfortunate when somebody really cares about you to try and keep you safe. But it's difficult when you don't see yourself as that older person that shouldn't be doing these things. And the word should or shouldn't, two of my least favourite words that I try never to use. And it is difficult to think I need to limit myself because I may trip over. I may hurt myself. Any of us could fall over. Any of us could not see a path that's a bit raised and fall over and hurt ourselves. Not just me with Parkinson's, not just me with my replaced knee, with my back injury. I don't want to be wrapped in cotton wool. I want to still get out there and do things. I know when I go back to bowling that I will need to step up and down off the green, but they have provided an extra step for me and for others who need that. But I can't be overmanaged. I need to be trusted. I need to be able to do what I need to do, and trusted that I will not take unnecessary risks. If I was further on and didn't have the capacity to understand those risks, I could understand it. But I feel like I have clarity of mind to be able to look at a situation and go, no, that's an unacceptable risk, and not have to tell someone. Fortunately, one thing that my husband and I agreed on a couple of days ago, I haven't been driving since probably 6 months because of my pain issues, etc. And with my recovery and knowing my own body, I said to my husband the other day, I think I'm okay to drive now. And he said, are you sure? And I said, I really feel that I am. And so, as we'd had agreed previously, we just went for a drive around our little town, and he was sitting there in the passenger seat, obviously, while I was driving. And I kept saying to him, am I doing okay? Are you happy with this? And he was. And so I've started driving again, which is so wonderful. I've hated not being able to go and do things for myself. I've hated having to rely on my husband. I've hated taking him away from what he wants to do, to be my chauffeur, to take me places. Now, I'm the kind of person that will go, I fancy going and having a look around some mop shops this afternoon. And I'll just tell him I'm going out for a while, and I go and do that, and I enjoy that, and we have some time apart, which is healthy, and I get to do what I want to do. And so, I can drive on my own again now. And it feels wonderful to have my freedom, to have my independence, and to be able to do that. So I was so pleased when he agreed, and he didn't try and wrap me in cotton wool, cover me in bubble wrap, and keep me out of the car and out of driving the car. It's very hard to be a passenger when you don't have control of where you go and for how long and what you do. And you know that you are putting somebody else out and taking them away from what they want to do for themselves. And that is fine. I know that my husband needs to do his own thing, but I know just as much, so do I. So just some thoughts on wrapping us in cotton wool, taking away from us things that maybe we could do for a while longer. We just need to try. We just need to be trusted. We just need to give it a go. And we need to be trusted to say, I agree, I need to not do this now. It's no longer safe, and I think I can do that. So this has been Sue for Parkies and Me, my journey with Parkinson's. Kia kaha, be brave, be strong, be you.